How's it going, guys, and welcome back to a prologue before the video. Feel free to skip this part if you want, but I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit of a life update as to why this video took a little while to come out. Right around the time of editing and getting things ready to go, my wife got COVID, which is a great way to start off the year. And then pretty soon after that, I got a virus, which almost mimics COVID, but doesn't test positive on anything. So I guess it's not COVID, it's like a pseudo COVID or something like that. And then if that wasn't good enough, the little cherry on the cake was half of this video got corrupted in the process of editing. And while I did my best to recover a good chunk of it, the very last portion is kind of gonzo to the sands of time. Starting the year off strong, as you can see. But needless to say, this video and the next video are both filmed about 2 weeks prior to any of this stuff going down, because I know it shows us out amongst a lot of people. But make sure you practice social distancing if you got symptoms and all that good stuff. Don't be a jerk, care about people's health. And hopefully we'll both get better. We can both pump out a lot more timely videos. So now on to the actual video. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another video. It's great to see your lovely face again in the new year 2023. And with that means two things. One, rest in peace to the 2022 holiday season. You will be dearly missed. And second, that means we get to dive into what's in my camera bag for the new year and some of the resolutions I'm going to make for you guys. Now, probably best to address the elephant in the room. Well, if there was a room. Why are we out in the middle of this field? Well, let's just say here in Germany during the New Year's, they really like to go ham with fireworks. Woo! Let's go! And when I mean ham, I mean ham. Oh, wow. So as a result, my entire neighborhood is completely covered in garbage, and I love it. So in my attempt to add a little more pizzazz to the New Year's, I decided to go outside. But considering the fact that my entire neighborhood is covered in garbage now, here we are. But let's not have that deter us from what's at hand. What's in my bag? Now, the reason why I wanted to do this video is simple. In order to help share some of the things that I've experienced with this gear, what I think works for me, what I think didn't work for me, so that way you guys can make a more informed buying decision. There's no affiliate links or anything like that. So if it sucks, I'm gonna let you know. But with that, let's go somewhere a little bit more cozy, because I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cold, and I think almost everything that I've brought with me today is about to die. So yeah, let's get to it. Pretty cool, huh? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the new studio, where I'm going to be recording most of my stuff for 2023. Anything really that's kind of indoors, and it just involves not being outside where the dreaded sun lies. So now that we're safe indoors, I ask you kindly to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more juicy content like this. and let's get into the gear. Now for me, there are 3 general areas that I like to divide all of my gear up into. Visual, anything that allows the picture to be on the screen. Audio, anything that allows me or the viewer to hear what I'm trying to create. And miscellaneous, which is anything else that did not fit in the other 2 categories. Now jumping straight into visual, I have an array of different cameras that I use, but it's not what you think. For my main camera that shoots 95% of everything that you guys see, I have the Sony a7 III. This camera was an absolute titan when it came out, with groundbreaking features such as dual SD card support and the ability to shoot 4K up to 30 frames per second and 1080p all the way up to 120 frames per second. While newer versions of this camera like the Sony a7 IV and V are out and they have their cinema line with the FX3 and FX30, not only are they really expensive, but in the end, most of the money that you have should really go towards your lenses, as camera bodies come and go every couple of years anyway, but a good lens can stick with you forever. Not to mention, we are talking about the a7 III, a golden era flagship. Even when you compare it to newer camera bodies like the ZV-1, the Sony ZV-E10, or even their FX30, there are just certain features that they lack compared to the a7 III. And we know what they say, a full frame a day keeps the critic away. But on a more serious note, I absolutely love and appreciate this camera. It has all the features that I really need from it: in-body axis stabilization, full frame 4K, and it's still light and nimble enough for me to carry it around wherever I need to go. An absolute 10 out of 10, especially for the prices that you can get it now, even brand new. I think that it's a pretty good deal. And when you look at the used market, it gets even better. For the other 2 cameras that I have as my backup, my B and C camera, they're not exactly what you would think of when you would refer to cameras in this sense. For my B camera, which mainly just means bashing into things and anything relating to action, I have the GoPro Hero 7 Black. And for my C camera, which involves any type of B-roll that I can't use my main camera for, I use my iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now these 2 cameras are kinda iffy because while they do give fantastic quality for video, their audio options are kind of lackluster, and there's a lot of drawbacks that you get with each one of them. A phone is able to fit in your pocket and is able to do a whole myriad of things that, well, a camera could never do, like order you a pizza, make a phone call, or go on all the naughty websites that we all know that you go on. Nasty. And the GoPro is pretty much the Nokia of cameras. Like, you can do anything you want with it. Chuck it off a cliff, throw it underwater, put it in a blender. It literally cannot die. It's impossible. But for me, the big drawback comes down to a sense of having the ability to isolate yourself from distraction. While I still love and will advocate that you can in fact use a regular iPhone or any smartphone as your main camera, the main issue that I had was that of distraction. It was very easy for me to be listening to music, watching a video, and then I go down the rabbit hole of the internet chain. Before you know it, I've already burnt up almost half an hour of my time and I haven't made a single clip yet. But regardless, if we're talking about image quality as a whole, these 2 are perfectly capable of being used, and that's why they are in my roster, even if it's a little bit iffy. For the GoPro, I would give it a strong 7 out of 10. I think you should go for a newer version, or better yet, maybe not even a GoPro at all, and go with your iPhone or your smartphone if it has an action mode, just because it will save you those little extra bits of schmeckles. And if you have an iPhone or smartphone of any kind, I would give it an 8 out of 10, because you can't beat the convenience and portability that it offers you, even if for people like me who get easily distracted, it's difficult to use. The prices for those 2, I'm not going to add into this video just because of the fact that if you're watching this right now, it's probably on your phone. There we go, you have a phone, so you don't have to go out and buy a phone. You don't have to get the newest and latest, greatest. Whatever you have will work perfectly fine. Now, lenses. This is where things get really interesting. For me, I decided to go with a modified Holy Trinity set. Now, what Holy Trinity means in the case of photography is that you have 3 zoom lenses that cover the majority of the focal lengths that you'll be using, with very few exceptions. It's usually a 16-35 or a 12-24, a 24-70, and a 70-200 zoom lens. From 16 or 12, depending, all the way up to 200 will cover pretty much your subject and the entire world around him, all the way up to a tight close-up of his eye. So you can't go wrong with a setup like this. It offers you the most versatility while allowing you to carry the least amount of lenses. There are some inherent drawbacks with using a Trinity set. For one, they're usually really expensive depending on what type of Trinity set you get. In the reference of Trinities for Sony, we're usually talking about the holy trinity of G Masters. That is the 16-35 f2.8 or 12-24 f2.8, which is the newer lens that has come out for that short end. 24-70 G Master, whether it's the version 1 or version 2. And the 70-200 G Master version 1 or version 2. Incredible glass, extremely expensive. So I went with a slightly tweaked version. For my modified Trinity, I have the Sony G Series 20mm f1.8, along with the Gen 1 versions of the 24-70 and 70-200 2.8 respectively. Now, there are a lot of snobs out there that are going to say that technically I should be using prime lenses if I want to get the very best in low light performance and the best
separation and the best bokeh, and you gotta use primes because it teaches you to be a better photographer. Oh, and you gotta
zoom in with your feet by moving around. It makes you more creative. Well, guess what? Nobody cares, Becky, because sometimes I just want to be able to zoom in on a subject and not have to get like this close to their face because I'm using an f12 0.5, which doesn't even exist because that would break the laws of light physics. But
yeah, that was a really good explanation and all that, but didn't you say that you modified it? Why do you have that G series lens there for? That's a prime lens. Why do you have that, bro?
I'm glad you asked, random guy that just broke into my studio. The reason why I have that G series lens is because if you were to squint at it hard enough, it's actually secretly a G Master in disguise. And by that, I mean, if you were to take its closest counterpart, which is the 24mm f1.4 G Master, you'll see that they're shockingly similar, sharing the same set of features, roughly the same dimensions and weight, and even coming down to near identical performance. The only exception being that the f1.4 and the G Master 24mm prime is a little bit sharper. But when I mean a little bit, it's kind of down to that little bit where most people, including myself, wouldn't be able to tell the difference if they didn't tell us in a video or a review which one was which. So I'm pretty much getting G Master performance out of this little lens for $500 less, and it's lighter, and it's smaller to carry, and it's wider, which makes it the better lens. I could have gone for the 16-35 or the 12-24, but I didn't have 22 to $3,000 respectively to drop on another lens. That being said, I will show how much the retail prices for all three of these lenses are, and I'll show how much I paid for them. They're pretty freaking expensive, but that being said, I'm willing to put down money to get good quality glass, which I know I will be able to either resell at an excellent price or carry along with me through multiple generations of camera bodies. Oh, and for those who are interested, I'd say that I use the 24-70 a solid 55% of the time. I use the 70-200 the rest of the time. This 20mm 1.8 is still brand new to me, so I'm kind of figuring out how it works, but I think the numbers are going to balance out properly. Low light performance in this is excellent. It's just a little bit wider than I'm used to, so I'm going to kind of have to practice how I can get my compositions and shots with this, as it's not exactly something that I can easily punch in and zoom out with, but I think this will be a worthy piece of equipment in my camera bag. Moving on to audio. This is the bread and butter of any video because anything can make a video look good nowadays given how far technology has gone. But real professionals, and by that I mean anyone who really cares about making a good video, is going to know that audio is what makes people stay. You can watch a terrible quality video that has excellent audio, but the other way around would make you leave in an instant. I know it does for me. So with that being said, I have in my roster the Sennheiser MKE 600 shotgun microphone connected via XLR cable, because that's the way to do it. The Zoom H5 audio recorder. This combo tag team right here is absolutely terrifying because of the fact that it allows you to pretty much adapt to, well, almost every single environment that exists. If you want to go out in the field to catch the natural ambience of nature or sounds or thunderstorms, or just simply record audio that would exist in your video, such as someone walking, pouring a cup of coffee, without having to worry about messing up your shot or have it overpower your actors, you can just go back, use the Zoom H5 and record that sound in the crispiest, cleanest audio I've ever heard in my life. But if you're trying to focus on getting the cleanest voice you can, whether it's for singing, whether it's for getting actors out in the field, whether it's getting actors out indoors, whether it's for a run and gun documentary, all you need to do is plug this baby into the Zoom H5 and you have yourself a top tier shotgun microphone that will be able to beam in and focus on their voices in the worst of scenarios. And let's say that you don't necessarily have space for a long XLR cable, or you don't want to deal with the Zoom H5. Hey, simple as that. This bad boy also has an adapter. It will allow you to plug it directly into your camera body, and you have a battery that you can place inside, which will allow it to run for up to 150 hours per AA battery. So, wow, no. So whether you're going for a professional setup or the lightest and most agile you can go, your audio quality will never falter. And I would give this microphone an easy 10 out of 10. The Zoom H5, I would give a 9 out of 10, just because for some people, they don't need that extra gear in order to really get their setup up and going. If you're more of a running gunner or a vlogger, or someone who's doing documentaries, I think you could avoid the Zoom H5. But if you're wanting to make, say, movies, if you want to make the highest quality content you can as a creator, get the Zoom H5, record that ambient sound, and it's gonna just take it to the next level with your video. I also realized I didn't give a rating to my lenses back there. I would give the 20mm a 9.5 out of 10, simply because it's just a G Master in disguise, but for $500 less, which I always can go for. The 24-70, I'd give a 10 out of 10. I use that thing almost all the time and can bring it with me everywhere. And the 70-200 really surprised me, as I did not think I would be using it as much as I would, but it has just kind of gone above and beyond and allows me to really get those tight punch-ups, especially for portraits. So I would also have to give that a 10 out of 10. Yeah, it goes to figure that the really expensive stuff gets a really high score, but you have to remember, you really do get what you pay for a lot of the time when it comes to photography and video making. Moving on to the miscellaneous category, this is really anything that didn't fit into the other two. It's not something that helps with your video. It's not something that helps with your audio, but it's still very...